Hey, now that we have React within the application, let's build our first React component. This component is going to be the main app component of the overall application. And let's place it within a new folder in source called components. So we have the overall components folder within source. In here, let's make an app.js file for our app component. And you're going to notice that the app.js file is capitalized, as is the convention for files that host React components. To make a React component, well, we need to make the React library available. Therefore, we're going to import React from the React module. As a secondary import, we're also going to import the component class from React. So while React is the main export of the React module, it also exports this component class secondarily. And in this situation, ES modules gives us an inline syntax. We can import the default export as well as the secondary exports within a pair of curly braces, and then the default one does not have to be within curly braces. Cool. Now we can declare a React component, and the primary way to create a React component is through a JavaScript class. So let's make a class called app. Notice that the file name as well as the class name match in terms of capitalization. To turn this class into a component, well, we need to extend the component class from React. So add the extends keyword, and this will extend the component class from React. By extending the component class, the app component inherits a bunch of functionality and helper methods baked into the original component class code. Now, every React component needs to implement a certain method, and that method is the render method. The render method returns JSX to detail how the component class will be structured as a presentational piece of the application. So it's crucial that we have this return keyword. It's a step often missed, but again, it's crucial in order to properly return JSX from the render method. So we're going to have a pair of div tags overall to describe this app component as a division in the document. And this for now will say welcome to the blockchain. So you can have an exclamation point at the end or any kind of punctuation you want. I'll do 3 periods as that's so mysterious. Okay, cool. I'll have a semicolon at the end of the return statement as well. And great, overall, that completes our app component. The last step is to make sure that the class is shared with other files. We're going to add a line at the end that exports the app class by calling export app. Notice that in JavaScript imports and exports, to share a file, rather than using module.exports like we did within Node, we only have to use the export keyword. And then the import system has a concept of default exports for a file. For example, recall that React is the default export of this React module, while the component class is a secondary export. So we want this app component to be the default export of the file, so that way we can import it later without having to use these curly braces. To make it the default export, we also include the default keyword in our final line of the file. All right, that completes the code for the app.js file. This will now allow us to use this app component as the primary display for the application. So once you have all of this, head back to the main index.js file of the client source directory. We're going to import the app component from its now location in the components directory. So import app from the local components directory, and then we're going to use the app file. And instead of this temporary JSX we have in the render method, we can use the app component instead. So let's have a pair of JSX tags related to the app component. So notice that through our component structure, we now have a tag-like, element-like structure as we would with HTML, except we use the class name itself within our JSX in order to render it. Nice. Now, in a situation like this, where there's nothing within the actual JSX, we have the option of using a self-enclosing tag. So rather than having a pair of tags where one has a slash, we can use one tag by itself, but before the closing bracket, or rather the closing arrow sign, we have a slash. Cool. All right, so once you have that in the file saved, go ahead to the command line and then fire up the application in dev mode. So we're going to run npm run dev in the CryptoChain project. Then we're going to go ahead and open up the browser and then visit localhost 3000, give it a refresh, and you should see that new message of welcome to the blockchain with 3 dots for added suspense. How cool. All right, now that we have a component in our application, let's extend its capabilities. We're going to get it to display the wallet info from the backend. So this is going to demand 2 kinds of updates. First, the component will have to make a request to the backend to get that wallet information. And 2, the component will have to dynamically display that data based on the wallet info response. Okay, let's focus on displaying the wallet info in this front end next.